Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's clear, I guess, Andreas, and it's been absolute pleasure to always be here and talking about Open RAN. It's wonderful to see from where we started and how we have evolved so far in I14Y. So thank you again, Andreas and Katya, for inviting me. So I come from Capgemini, and primarily I'll be talking about uh, perhaps a little more on the ground on how things are, whether it's progressing, and whether there is actually an ecosystem really. We do talk about it a lot, so we want to really look at it whether there is actually an ecosystem or not. I noticed the ecosystem slide of Robert, and we had NEPs, we had CSPs, we had hyperscalers, infrastructure, but system integrators were not there. So most likely the ecosystem, there is still some gaps in the ecosystem which we may want to discuss a bit today. From a Capgemini standpoint, I mean, we as a company, we are both an engineering and R&D services company, so we help Open RAN products get built. And then we are also a system integrator, so we roll out, manage, and deploy, test, validate Open RAN. So we do have a view of how the technology is evolving, as well as how it actually ends up in the field. So if you look at, in general, the Open RAN adoption has been quite steady. I wouldn't say it has really gone through the roof, but it has been steady. There has been ORAN adoption primarily in telcos to a certain extent, at least in small parts. And then there are larger, I would say, larger adoption as well. But we have seen some very significant ORAN adoption across other industries, whether it's in aerospace and defense, satellite communication, and even in enterprises. So a lot of Open RAN innovation that's happening today, I wouldn't say the entire thing, but a significant amount of the Open RAN innovation actually is driven from other industries as well. So for example, the non-terrestrial networks or the satellite communication aspects of Open RAN has really been impacting how the specifications, the standards, and the architecture are evolving, as well how the silicon strategy would be, how the software would have to evolve, what are the different interfaces that we need to bring in. So a lot of innovation is happening right across the board, primarily because of, not just because of the telco industry, but also otherwise. As a result, we are seeing some significant progress in standardization, significant technology advancement. We have at least started to see a lot of global collaboration. Public sectors has seen a significant interest in Open RAN. They have been putting in a lot of effort there as well across countries. And Capgemini being in hundreds of countries, we have seen that as a significant impetus or an impulse to drive Open RAN forward, which is excellent. But that also means there is a challenge in how do we end up having more interoperable, conformant, and secure Open RAN across different sectors, across different countries. And that has always been a bit of a challenge in the sense that it's not easy to get everybody in the same room to test and validate and learn from it. And so therefore I14Y and labs like this have played a very, very significant role. And let's not undermine that. I mean, this is a lot have been achieved from these plug fests, these kind of collaborative industry labs, because that's where the real work has happened. Things around 4 to 5 years ago, we all spoke about multi-vendor solutions, but we really didn't know how to make it work. And a significant part of that has happened because of Open RAN collaboration labs. But still, I think there is still a lot of way to go forward. If we want to go to prime time Open RAN, and as a system integrator, we feel it, is that how do we deploy at scale? So what kind of automation we need, what kind of management elements we need. Resilient Open RAN is still a little far away. When I say resilient, it's not in terms of RAN performance, but in terms of RAN operability. Hundreds and thousands of sites when deployed, when the software is upgraded, when we are trying to run a common orchestrator, we are trying to run radio intelligent controllers and apps around it. We are also talking about DApps, where apps are within the network itself. So all of these are hard to manage unless there is a very mature way of doing it. And of course, that means we could use some of the best practices in use in hyperscale deployments. And those are some of the things that we have to bring in for Open RAN in order to manage scale. And that's perhaps what brings me to the next set of areas where to focus on from a technology standpoint. What are the areas we really need to look forward to? And one of them is, of course, the supply chain diversity. Yes, as going back to Robert's ecosystem slide, I think it is still not very diverse, and there is a scope to have a little more diversity there. There are, unless smaller network equipment providers, software companies do get a seat at the table and at least get to do trials, we are not going to see real diversity when it comes to Open RAN. Yes, that's okay. I mean, that's how perhaps the industry would flow. But if you really need to go towards a more, a more diverse supply chain ecosystem, then we need to do that. And also, I think the layer 1 accelerators are quite important because diversity in layer 1 accelerators are also critical because there are, very few which is available there. And also, more importantly, automated deployment of layer 1. It's kind of tightly coupled always. So how can we actually do that is also going to be significant. Standardized test beds are also important. I mean, if you really want to see secure, tested RApps and XApps, which is usable across operators, then there needs to be standardized test beds. And these RApps and XApps, in my opinion, should come from outside the industry. It's not necessary that the telecom players are going to develop that. And if you think that all the innovation will come within the industry, then I think we are missing the point. And so we expect applications and people who can actually utilize the Open RAN's openness and build some very innovative applications, whether it's about optimizing the network, whether it's about leveraging the network information for something else. That should come from outside the industry. So how do we actually enable the larger ecosystem to actually use Open RAN as a platform? It's far, far, far away from there. We are still very closed when it comes to inviting or encouraging smaller players to think of applications and leveraging Open RAN. And I think that's something we have to do as an industry. Innovation is also, I think, quite critical, and obviously everything will stall if we don't continuously innovate. And one of them is, of course, is to lowering the entry barrier for companies who can bring, say, for example, XApps and RApps. That's one thing we have discussed at length. Also, I think there are extensions required in Open RAN interfaces for both terrestrial and non-terrestrial integrated access and backhaul. I think that's a very important area to innovate in. And also, I think we should reimagine the network management a bit. I mean, we are still in the world where we love EMS, we love network management systems and element management systems. We love, UIs, giving nice dashboards, and then we click them and things change, and we reconfigure. But most probably Open RAN is giving us an opportunity to reimagine management systems. Also, the fact that there are the AI is at its inflection point right now, and whether we can actually be more conversational in managing the network, can we actually be more intuitive? Can network just inform what's going wrong, and then things can we actually go towards a more autonomous network model? So how do we actually reimagine the whole network management is quite critical, I think, and because it gives us, the Open RAN gives us a scope to do that, to think differently. And also we have to think that a lot of this is software, a lot of this is knowledge, a lot of this is about network information, which can be harnessed, and maybe intelligent decisions can be made. A lot of them can be done by itself. A lot of them can be queried. A lot of them can be even notified. So perhaps we are not using, or we should rather use, the lot of network knowledge that comes with the network itself to reimagine the network management systems. And I think that's going to be quite critical if we have to reduce the TCO in the long run. Because if we do that, the operations cost would significantly go down. But obviously, that means we'll have to invest somewhere, and that's this, the innovation aspects of the management plane. The third part is about value creation. I think sustainability is critical. We have all spoke about that. Andreas was speaking at it in the beginning as well. Sustainable radio networks is critical to be built. It's also important is how the silicon diversity is encouraged in Open RAN. How can we bring in more players there? As I mentioned, RAN infrastructure will also have to evolve, and I'll talk a bit about that perhaps in the next part. The important aspect is observability and telemetry. We all know that Open RAN cares for it. Open RAN opened up the interfaces, but it is still very, very hard to actually do much with it. We can observe, but we can't leverage much. We can't correlate much because there aren't too many multi-vendor deployments either. So if you have to harness all of that together, then perhaps the observability and telemetry of Open RAN needs to have some focus right from the operators as well as from the vendors themselves. Otherwise, this is going to continue to be an observable network, not deeply observable, or we are not leveraging the observability data. Finally, it's about resilient operations, and of course, the most obvious ones, perhaps I would say the bread and butter of system integrators is to create at-scale DevOps pipelines to manage networks. We have done this perhaps at certain level, maybe 100 sites or 200 sites, but when we are talking about thousands of them, do we really have the resilient pipelines, and what do we really need to do about that? It's a very big question to look at. Then, of course, we have to have more remote management possible, and so for that, can we develop more robust digital twins of radio networks? Can we actually use them to provide more predictive networking, predictive knowledge about the network itself? And then, of course, the performance of the algorithms itself, the low latency algorithms, may need a reimagination of the infrastructure itself. So if we are looking more towards a more autonomous network, about applications which are DApps, which are going to run inside the baseband, and they are supposed to take decisions on real-time nature, so this low latency applications, are the current O-Cloud infrastructure enough to do that? Or do we actually need AI processors there? Maybe. Or do we need better inferencing silicon there? Do we need AI infrastructure there? So if you have to really make things intelligent, or is our current infrastructure of O-Cloud good enough to do that, or do we need a reimagination of that as well, is also a big area to look at. Right, so that's all I had. I mean, it's just an overview of perhaps where we stand today. I think it's a very positive position that Open RAN is, and also from a system integrator's perspective or an R&D service provider company's perspective, I think it's a very interesting place to be at. But then, of course, there are areas to focus. It's not done. The work job is still in progress. And hopefully, together as an ecosystem, we can take this forward. Thank you very much for your time.